Clear dissection of the depth of the confusion happened on October 8th, before Israel had done anything in response. We saw this explosion of support for Hamas essentially as a legitimate resistance organization, right? Throwing off an occupation in Gaza that hadn't been occupied for a decade and a half.
This is a video of Richie Torres talking about how October 7th has uncovered and revealed the state of anti-Semitism. I am the other Barak, coming to you live and direct here from the Holy Land in Israel. That is right, I'm in Tel Aviv. I live here. I'm giving you a boots on the ground reality. Let's take a look at this video with Richie and Sam Harris. And as always, of course, ladies and gentlemen, stick around because let's talk about it after.
Okay, so let's talk about some very errant messaging post October 7th, literally before Israel had done anything in response. We had an explosion of, it's not too far to say it, explicit support for the death cult that had murdered 1,200 people in Israel on October 7th. And the support was in the quads of our finest universities.
Yeah.
We know that it was not an accident. It was not purely organic, but obviously the sympathy was there to be leveraged by people taking to social media and, in many cases, directly funding protests. We definitely have an anti-Semitism problem. There's an anti-Semitism problem on the far right, obviously, and that's been with us forever. But there's one on the far left, which is increasingly shrill and increasingly hard for otherwise sane and ethical people to parse. I mean, it's understandable given the level of misinformation and disinformation spread on this topic. It's understandable that people are confused about what's happening there and about what Israel could be doing or should be doing. But the clear dissection of the depth of the confusion happened on October 8th, before Israel had done anything in response. We saw this explosion of support for Hamas essentially as a legitimate resistance organization, right? Throwing off an occupation in Gaza that hadn't been occupied for a decade and a half. What do you make of the animus toward Israel and just the animus toward Jews left of center in our politics now?
Before Richie answers this, it's really important to remember that on October 8th, less than 24 hours since the news had already come out about what happened on the southern border of Israel with Hamas and the Israeli communities there were people that already had banners printed. There were people that already had signs ready, and there already had masses of people. That is not something that you can just conduct in less than 24 hours if you didn't have any context before it was going on. And boy, oh boy, I can't wait for the investigation to happen.
For me, October 7th did not change the state of anti-Semitism. It simply revealed a process that had been unfolding for a long time, a process of demonizing both the Jewish people and the Jewish state. And to your point, almost as troubling as October 7th itself was the response.
Mm-hmm.
On October 8th, I saw masses of Americans go to the heart of Times Square, the most Jewish city in the world, and celebrate and cheer the mass murder of Jews.
Mm.
I never thought, as a millennial who remembers the trauma of 9/11, I never thought in my wildest nightmares that Osama bin Laden's letter to America would be spreading virally on TikTok. And, there's no single explanation for what is unfolding in our politics, but it seems to me one of the most influential ideas on the far left, on college campuses, is the idea of intersectionality, which seems to divide the world into two categories: the oppressor versus the oppressed. And Israel is seen as the oppressor that can do no right. And Hamas is seen as the oppressed that can do no wrong. And that seems to be the distorting, simplistic lens through which The war in Gaza is seen, through which the Israeli-Palestinian conflict is seen.
Mm.
And it has deprived a whole generation of Americans of the ability to empathize with Israelis who were victims
Mm.
of the deadliest day for Jews since the Holocaust.
Yeah. I guess there's some doubt as to whether or not the Holocaust even happened in certain circles.
Right.
I mean, now we have some of the biggest podcasts on earth, platform people who are just asking questions about what happened in 1941 and 42, and maybe Hitler wasn't such a bad guy after all, and
Yes.
maybe they just accidentally killed Jews or killed them out of compassion because there were so many prisoners of war they just couldn't figure out what to do with them. And might it not be more compassionate to euthanize them rather than have them starve? And this is the kind of thing that is
Tucker
being,
Carlson's favorite historian.
yeah, this is Tucker Carlson's favorite historian and one of Joe Rogan's favorite historians.
Who said that the central villain of World War II was not Adolf Hitler, it was
Yeah.
Winston Churchill.
Yeah, yeah.
Which would have been unsayable only a few years ago.
Mm.
And it shows how corroded our culture has become by anti-Semitism, both on the far right and on the far left. But to your point, the far left anti-Semitism enjoys greater respectability
Right.
in American culture, in American media, in American education. And I find it ironic that the academic intelligentsia often has the least amount of moral intelligence. And that point was driven home to me during one of the congressional hearings. You might recall one of my colleagues asked the presidents of elite universities, is calling for a genocide of Jews harassment. Now, I'm from the Bronx. I represent a district where the median level of educational attainment is less than a college degree. But if you ask the average Bronxite, is calling for a genocide of Jews harassment, they would say, of course it is. It's worse than harassment. But if you ask an academic, you get a coldly legalistic, formulaic response. And it seems to me the loss of moral common sense is not a bug, but a feature of what the higher education industrial complex has become.
One day I'm going to really want to ask some of the people who have chosen to be blatantly anti-Semitic unapologetically down the road, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, and ask them if they're proud of this period of time. There are people who regret some of the things that they used to say back about Jews when it comes to the Holocaust, about Jews when it comes to the state of Israel. I've seen people regret some of the things that they said. And I've also seen people, when deployed a little bit of critical thinking, basically you put them in their place, you hold them accountable for realizing that they are deeply radicalized to think one way, which actually has gotten them to speak and say and think a certain way. And sometimes they're so deep in that radicalization, they don't even realize it. That is it's like a mummy. It's like scary shit. They just operate on autopilot. But I'm going to really want to talk to these people, the same people who marched on the 8th of October, because I really am confident that at one point in time, these individuals are not going to be continuing to fight for the same thing. I just don't see them caring in the first place, which means that the gas tank will run out at some point. It really will run out at some point. They will move on. The world moves on. The algorithm moves on. People move on. I mean, we don't because we care, but they do because they don't. That's the real core difference, which is really important. And unfortunately, we're surrounded by a lot of people who think that they care right now, which makes us also a little bit, some turbulence felt on our side too. Richie's awesome. I wish I had more content to be able to share with you guys about him. I'll continue to look. Thank you so much for all your support. Links in the description of this video right below here to be able to support this channel. Here's a message from me. Here are 4 ways you can help us grow if you believe in our mission. On Buy Me a Coffee and PayPal, you can directly contribute to helping this message grow and reach more people across the world. If you want to join the inner circle, join our Patreon with different tiers, and of course, our Discord community, which is free with people from all across the world. The links to every single one are in the description. And last but not least, to the other Barak community, I love you. Ani ohev otchem. I'll see you guys next time.